All right, hi everybody. Welcome to the fall exam review. We're going to go ahead and go through this one problem at a time. I'm going to work through every single problem for you guys. Best thing you guys can do to prepare for this exam is to just go ahead and work through this thing with me, and then after you're done working through the entire thing, go back and rework all the problems several times. Remember that the exam is going to look very similar to this review. So let's get started with it, and I'm going to be using my calculator as well as some paper stuff, and I'm going to try and take the easiest route on every single one. So I'm also going to break it up and do one video per page, so if you're looking for a specific problem, go ahead and fast forward to where you need to be. First up, what is the slope of the line that passes through 7,2 and 3,6? Now, if you wanted to, you could use the slope formula, which is m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You'd be substituting these values in as x1, y1, and x2, y2. But I'm going to take the simple route because this is an exam and we're worried about time. So I'm going to do it using the TI calculator. So we're going to go ahead and clear the memory at the beginning of your test, always a good idea. Stat, option 1 is going to be edit. I'm going to type our x values into L1, our y values into L2. So my x values are 7 and 3. My y values are -2 and 6. Then I'm going to go ahead and hit stat, arrow over to calc. Option 4 is linear regression, and then press enter on it again, and it tells me y equals ax squared plus b. We know the slope is the variable, or sorry, the constant number in front of x. So in this case it's an a, so my slope is -2. So I write down m equals -2. All right, moving on. What is the y-intercept of this line? Now, we could do a lot of crazy rearranging of this stuff, or again, we could take the easy road out. We do our our set of axes, and we know that a y-intercept is going to be somewhere on the y-axis. We don't know exactly where. We don't know if it's above the x-axis or below the x-axis, but we do know it's going to be somewhere on the y-axis. Every single one of those points has one thing in common. The x-coordinate is going to be 0 on every single one. So let's use that to find the y value. I'm going to plug in, substitute a 0 for the x. Minus 5y is equal to 10. And now I got to use a little bit of our algebra skills. 2 times 0, well, that's just 0. So I'm left with -5y is equal to 10. Now we're going to divide both sides by -5. And get y is equal to 10 divided by -5 is -2. So the y-intercept is going to be 0, -2. Now for number 3, we're going to use the exact same concept. Looks like that the x-intercept is going to be somewhere on this x-axis. Remember, I don't know whether it's positive or negative at this point. I just know it's on the axis. Sort of like this one, I didn't know if it was above or below. This one ended up being below, but I'm not worried about really drawing it again. It's right there. Remember, it's going to be a multiple choice test, so you're not going to have to draw the graphs or anything for me. This one's somewhere on the x-axis. And in this case, we know that for every single point on the x-axis, my my y-coordinate is going to be 0. Again, let's use that in here. Let's go ahead and say 3x plus 2, and the y value has to be 0, is equal to 6. So we got 3x plus 0 equals 6. Divide both sides by 3. Tells me that x equals 6 divided by 3 is 2. I'm sorry, I said 2 and wrote 3. Is 2, and so my coordinates are 2, 0, and then go ahead and box it. Okay, that one did end up being in the right spot too. Now, number 4, what is the slope of the line? Well, there's no direct way to go from this to slope while we had in the other two. This time we have to completely solve for y. Now remember, we had 2 steps we were using on these things. First step is going to be transpose. Second step is to divide. Now remember, we're wanting to get y by itself, so we're going to transpose this 8x. The -2y stays put. The 8x travels to the other side, and when it gets transposed, it also changes sign, so it becomes negative. The 16 stays put, but remember, since it was positive, we have to put a plus there. Now, I'm going to divide everything by -2. That's going to cancel out, leaves me with y equals -8 divided by -2 is 4x. 16 divided by -2 is -8. So my slope is 4, the number in front of x. Now, on to number 5. Give an example of a line with a slope of -2. Some of my students are getting tripped up by this one. We know that the equation of a line is y equals mx plus b. So all we got to do is just put a -2 right there. Y equals -2x, and then I don't care what number you put out there. It could be a 0, it could be a -4, it could be a -5 billion, a +5 billion. I don't care. As long as you got a -2 in front of the x, the rest of it doesn't matter. So pretty easy problem. Number 6. Put it in slope-intercept form. Hey, same process we did above. We're going to transpose, and then we're going to divide. So let's transpose that 6x. 2y equals -6x plus 14. Then do with the divide step. Divide both sides by 2. Gives me y is equal to -6 divided by 2 is -3x. 14 divided by 2 is +7. So there we go, -3x plus 7. Number 7, write the equation of a line that passes through 2, -1, and 4, -7. If you really wanted to, you can use that same slope formula from the first problem, and then you can do the point slope. Y equals y1, or y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, or we can use our calculator again. Do the exact same idea. Stat 1 gives me to edit, and I can just type right over these. My x value is 2 and 4. My y values are -1 and -7. Stat calc option 4 is linear regression. And this time I want the entire equation, so I'm just going to write y equals -3x plus 5. All right, number 8, a function contains these points. What is the domain? Now remember, domain is the set of x values. And in this case, my x values are 3, 4, 5, and -6. So we're going to write the domain is equal to, put them in order though, -6 is the smallest, then 3, then 4, then 5. So just all the x values. Well, if domain is x values, range would be y values. So if I ask you for range, you would just list off all the y values there. Now, number 9, relations contains those points. Is this relation a function? Remember, we had several different tests for functions. The most important we did was that vertical line test. If it crosses twice, then this one is not a function. Well, think about what would happen here. These two would have repeated x values. So if we ever get a point or two different points that have the same x value, then it is not a function. So get our x values: 8, 4, 3, and -1. There are no repeats, so that means that yes, this is a function.